Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It's March the 17th and we're looking at Joshua chapter 4. We have two passages here today. First of all, we have the stones erected at Gilgal. The children of Israel passed over the Jordan when the waters opened up for them, and 12 men were selected to take stones from the depths of the river and carry them over onto the dry land on the other side. And they went over on the 10th day of the month, the 10th day of the first month. This is the day upon which the Lord Jesus entered into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. It's no coincidence that these dates are recorded like this. God always counts time. The ark rested on Mount Ararat on the 17th day of the 7th month. The children of Israel stood on the other side of the Red Sea in freedom on the 17th day of the 7th month, and they changed the month to being the first month instead of the 7th month. And the Lord Jesus rose from the dead on the 17th day of the first month. So it's all the same day. And here we have the children of Israel. It's the first month again, and it's the 10th day, and they go over the Jordan. There's 40,000 men of war. 40,000, that's a huge army. But there's also the whole of the children of Israel. I'm going to suggest something like about 1 million or 2 million people. Difficult to know how many exactly. And they go over on the 10th day, and they encamp at Gilgal. And they erect these stones into a memorial, so that in future generations, when children say, "What do these stones mean?" they'll say, "Well, this is where the Lord opened up the Jordan to bring us through, and all the people of the earth will know the hand of the Lord, that it is mighty, and that we might fear the Lord your God forever." My password is that little phrase, "What meaneth these stones?" These stones were a perpetual memorial to the deliverance of the children of Israel on this occasion. It came to pass when the kings of the Amorites on the other side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites which were by the sea, when they heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel and until we passed over, that their hearts melted, neither was there spirit in them any more because of the children of Israel. This was going to be a remarkable invasion. The children of Israel were going to come into the land. They were going to be full of courage. They were going to be full of trust in God. They were going to be strong in the Lord. That's the thing. But the enemy that they faced were going to be completely frightened, and they were going to be there was going to be no spirit in them anymore. And then at that time the Lord said to Joshua, "Make sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time." You see, all those that came out of Egypt and went through the sea, the Red Sea, they were all circumcised men of war. However, all their children that had been born in the wilderness were uncircumcised. Now you say, why was that? It's because they were men of unbelief. They came out of Egypt good enough, but they were unable to enter into the promised land because they murmured against the Lord, and they did not believe that God was able to deliver them. And so because of their unbelief, they did not circumcise their boys when they were born. And all of that generation that were circumcised, that came out of Egypt, perished in the wilderness. They died in the wilderness. But all the new generation, all the new boys, all the firstborn, and all the older men of Israel that came out of the wilderness, not out of Egypt, they were uncircumcised. And so Joshua said, "Make sharp knives and circumcise the children of Israel." And they circumcised them all all of the children of Israel were circumcised on that day, and this meant that there was a restoration. They were restored unto the covenant that they had with Abraham. And it says, it came to pass when they had done all the circumcision that they abode in their places until they were whole. And then we read, the children of Israel that camped in Gilgal, they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month in the plains of Jericho. You see, the 14th day was the Passover. This was the celebration of their deliverance from Egypt, and it was going to become the key to their spiritual life in Israel. And they did eat the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. You see, the old corn of the land was the corn that they brought out of Egypt. It was old now, of course. It was 40 years old, but it was absolutely fine. And they cooked it, they roasted it, and they ate the corn of the land. And the following day, on the 15th of the first month, the manna ceased. There was going to be no more manna. After they'd eaten of the old corn of the land, the children of Israel never ate manna anymore. And they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. You know, the people say that God didn't provide manna for them in the wilderness. Well, if the Lord didn't provide manna for the children of Israel in the wilderness, they would have starved. This is 2 million people living in a desert. The Lord provided manna, but when they entered into Canaan, when they entered into the Holy Land, they didn't need the manna anymore. They needed to take the old corn of Egypt in, and they also ate of the fruit of the land of Canaan. Now, there's a curious incident which begins at verse 13. It says, it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said, Art thou for us or for our adversaries? And he said, No, as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face on the earth and did worship. And he said, What saith my Lord unto his servant? You see, this was an appearance of the Lord Jesus. This was no angel. If it had been an angel, the angel would have stopped him from worshipping. Angels never receive the worship of men. But this is the Lord Jesus, and he comes as captain of the host of the Lord. He's saying to Joshua, I'm not on your side, Joshua. I haven't come to be on your side. I have come to take over. Okay, I've come to take over. So he says, loose your shoe from off your foot, for the place where you stand is holy. And Joshua did so. Now, what's the loosing of the shoe? It was a custom. When a transaction took place, when there was a redemption to be made, it was a custom that the person that was not the Redeemer took off his shoe, and it was taken away as a permanent memorial that he was not the Redeemer. This is what happened to Moses at the burning bush. He lost his shoe there, and Joshua is going to lose his shoe here. You see, Joshua is not going to be the Redeemer. He's not going to be the one that will save Israel. The person that will save Israel and the person that will bring them into the land is going to be the captain of the host of the Lord. The captain of the host of the Lord. He says, take off your shoe, for the place where you stand is holy. It says, and Joshua did so. Amazing passage. Wonderful verse. Well, God bless you. Great to talk to you. Don't forget, my password is that simple phrase, that little phrase. It says, "What meaneth these stones? What meaneth these stones?" God bless you. Look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Bye for now.